There it is. Yo! What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the stream this evening. We're live a little bit early than what I advertised, but I just wanted to get in here and kind of get things rolling, if you know what I mean. So listen, here's the situation. I want to let all y'all know what's happening today, because we're doing something a little different, a little new, a little fun, you know what I mean? Obviously, the server test session is over with. It has concluded. Obviously, the whole ordeal is now done with. So, it's time to take a look at what happened. Let's discuss it. Let's provide our thoughts. All right, because there's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts. Let's see, what is this? Let's see. So, look, here's the thing. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of like an interview kind of thing with a fellow creator on YouTube. His name is Kevin Cool X, ! Kevin in chat will get you a link to his channel. Super dope guy. He's mainly does stuff on Halo. He's mainly a Halo creator. But we're going to be talking with him here around 6 o'clock Eastern time. So in roughly 15 minutes or so, we're going to be talking with him. We're going to be chatting, having a good conversation about XDefiant, kind of where it's at, what the game is for his audience. This is something we're doing for him, but we're also going to have you guys a part of it, if that makes sense. So for the first little 15 minutes, bear with me as I try and get some stuff situated with him. But so the real stuff will get started around 6 o'clock, but just a fun little thing that we're doing today, all right? I hope you guys enjoy, but bear with me for this earlier portion. But what's going on, guys? Yo, hello. Yo, Carl, Epic, Alec, the Goats, Addison. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. Let's see here. Bear with me as I get some stuff set up with him. Noti Gang, yo, Royal, what's going on, dude? What up? What is this? Let's see. All right, let's see. Game's ready for you? Yo, it's ready for me, bro. So bear with me, guys. Like I said, we're going to be getting some things set up, all right? The real stuff is going to start around 6 o'clock, so just bear with me, okay? Would much appreciate that.
Thank you so much for subscribing, and welcome to the XDefiant Guides community.
Yo, Jonas, I appreciate you, dude. Welcome in. Yo, Panda, what's up, dude? What up? Bear with me, guys. I feel like if they add kill cams, you would see the hit reg and how bad it is. Alec, I definitely wondered about that myself. But that's not happening anytime soon. Let's remember that. It's not happening anytime soon. So just remember, guys, here in around 12-ish minutes or so, we're going to be doing an interview discussing everything. Kind of like a little podcast kind of thing. So just bear with me while we get some things set up. The real stuff starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, okay? What is this thing right here? Is Video Ninja? What the heck is this, bruh? I play one game on God, but I can't. It's so trash. Will the negativity delay the game? Yo, Corey. It better not, bro. It better not. The game needs polish. No one can deny that. I'd rather delay them releasing the game like a very rough state, like the server test. Well, Jamie, I hear you. I see what you're saying. All right, guys, bear with me. I'm gonna jump on a call with Kevin real quick. Yo, you got me? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Okay. That's actually really neat. Okay. Yeah, that's actually so cool. Let me send that to you right now. I am live, by the way, just so you know. Here.
Oh, OBS virtual cam. There we go. That's why.
Okay, I see you there. Yep. Yep.
Mm. Also, since I'm using virtual cam, you'll see me do this.
Pop over.
Like,
Okay.
Every time I switch scenes,
Gotcha.
that's what you'll see.
Gotcha. Do you mind if I have your cam on my stream as well or no?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
Go for
cool.
it. I mean, it'll probably switch around like this. If I'm
Yeah.
switching scenes, so I'll use my podcast setup. I'll be kind of like switching between like this, that.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched your. I mean, not everything, but a little bit of what you sent me with Hidden Xperia.
Are you saying you
pretty
didn't
cool.
watch the full hour-long podcast?
Listen, man. Look, bro, I got like a grand total of 6 minutes of free time every day. Especially after this play test, man. I squeezed every second out of that I could.
Fake fan exposed, dude. Seriously.
All right, let me get your things set up here.
There's a link right there. Cool. And
Oh, I requested access to the thing, by the way.
okay, no, we won't need to like edit it up or anything. It'll be fine though. It's really just like a list of questions so you know like what's coming.
Yeah, makes sense.
We can like plan out a thought. There we go. Down there, got you all synced up properly. All right.
How did I click that
Guess
button?
it's up to me to hit live stream then as well then.
Oh, that's so interesting. I just like accidentally. This is so neat. I'm 100% trial and erroring this on stream right now. Yo, guys, bear with me. We're just sending it right now. There we go. That looks better. Okay. On my end, at least.
What I probably could do.
There we go. Yo, guys. So here's what's about to happen, all right? Kevin over here is super dope guy. He his link to his channel is in the description. All right.
No.
Make sure you go check him out. But we're gonna be talking about XDefiant and basically just everything that's going on with the game right now. All right.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hit stream as well. I'm also gonna be using dual streaming here and restream here for the first time in a long time. So hopefully it doesn't blow up everything.
Yeah, Restream was interesting when I tried it before. It was very interesting. Very complicated. It was so much like mentally to figure out. I had to stop using it. It was too much for me. I just couldn't do it.
Let's see if it actually works.
Let's see.
Okay, we're live on Twitch. I see that. That's good. I think I might need to hit go live on
YouTube?
Not sure. YouTube streaming is kind of weird. It's like there's a couple. It's not complicated, but it's just like
It's
extra
different.
steps.
Yeah, many extra steps. It's very different. Yeah.
Okay, we are live.
Thank
on
you so
YouTube
much
as
for
well, so
subscribing and welcome to the
working out well.
XDefiant Guides community.
Cool. Live on both. Sweet. Okay, close all my extra little tabby tabs here. All right. Oh my god, we have people already in the chat already. Ken, what's up, dude? And Apollo over on YouTube. And it was against TOS for me to engage with YouTube people.
They're not gonna get you.
But
well,
who the heck's gonna freaking monitor that?
Dude, Dan Clancy's just gonna be waiting for you to go live. He's like, I see what you're doing.
No, actually, I watched a video from Harris Heller, and he was talking about but using Restream and talking different chats, and he had YouTube chat up on his stream
on a stream
with this interview with Dan Clancy.
Yep.
Still didn't get banned. So
nope.
I will see what happens.
I mean, there's no shot they could do that. You know, like you know what I mean? Are they really gonna do that? Nah, they just have to have it. They have to say that stuff for legal purposes. You know, they got to come off a certain way, and that's about it.
Exactly. But yeah, so anyone on our side here, Mr. Buckeye on this side of the screen right here. I would say he's quite the XDefiant expert. No pun intended on the X repetition there.
Try to be.
He does use X as well.
I do. I use X. The channel's XDefiant Guides. We play XDefiant. Everything revolves around XDefiant. Yes.
And I recently jumped into playing XDefiant. Actually, my first time was this last weekend for the playtest. My first time playing it because I think the previous play sessions either I was late on the sign up or I was busy that weekend or whatever. Like, you know, some people this might be their first time jumping in. So it was my first time jumping in. It's like I wanted to see because I noticed from my experience what it was like, but I know that this playtest was mainly for netcode and the networking of the game, because apparently that was a big issue that was going on.
Yes.
With it, and so I wanted to see. First of all, just overall, we'll go big picture here, and then we'll work our way down. Overall, what was your experience with the playtest? Just flat out, like, what are your thoughts on it? Vibes. Let's do the vibes check.
So I'll put it in a simple sentence, and then I'll elaborate. Release XDefiant. that's my TLDR. No, but my perspective, not everyone's experience is the same. Not everyone experienced it the way that I did. Not everyone experienced it the way that you did. I think that's one problem, I guess you could say, potentially, with where the game is at right now, is it's not very a lot of people are having different experiences. But my experience with the playtest was actually very positive. I felt that the game itself was smoother than I had experienced in the previous tests. I thought that the movement was a little bit smoother. I felt like the hit detection was pretty snappy. I didn't really feel like I was getting unfair advantages, or I was getting shot around corners. I didn't feel like my shots weren't hitting. I mean, I hit like level 25, I think, in it. So like I played a fair bit, you know. I played a fair bit, you know. Some other people played well more than I did, but I played a fair bit, you know. And my experience on it was solid. It really was. Was it perfect? No. In fact, the biggest problem that I had specifically, I 100% had an issue with getting people to join my lobby, which previously, the reason why the game got delayed in the first place is because they had to completely rebuild their server system and their social system. Those two systems completely from the ground up rebuilt. So we were testing out both of those things in the server test, and in my experience, once we got into a party, it was fine. We didn't have any problem with people desyncing or disconnecting from the parties. We didn't have any weird issues where, like, for example, Helldivers 2, there's a weird bug where, like, if you play crossplay with somebody in a party, then, like, you can just, like, randomly be disconnected while you're playing in a mission, which is interesting. I didn't experience anything like that in the playtest, and every time I was live, we had full parties of people joining in. When the party was made, we were good. Didn't have any issues. Where we had a problem, though, was having people join in on me. So, like, if you have an open lobby, and in Ubisoft Connect, it says a joinable lobby, and you click join, it says something like timed out, or like the invite like expired or something along those lines. You can't join on somebody. So that is 100% like something that needs to be addressed as a result of the test. But if you invited somebody, invites sent, they were received, all of that worked. So I mean, with that, it worked really well, except for the joining function. That 100% needs to be addressed. But as far as the gameplay is concerned, I mean, I probably had maybe 5 error codes the whole time. I got like maybe 4 deltas and 1 bravo. What's funny about my last delta was the Play XDefiant account on Twitter, they had sent out a tweet saying, "Hey guys, we just sent out a server-side update fixing the Delta error code, so you shouldn't have any more problems with that." And not even 10 minutes after that tweet, I got a Delta. So that was kind of funny. But that was the last Delta I got. I mean, and the other thing too, with those error codes, it's not like it was a problem where I got an error code and then I just simply couldn't get back into the game. All I had to do was just reload, and it worked. So in my mind, I think that yes, there were some problems with it in my experience, but I think that these are problems that shouldn't take that long to fix, if that makes sense. Now, it's not the story for everyone else, and there's a lot of problems that a lot of people had, but for me, in my experience, that's kind of where I was at with it.
Gotcha, yeah. Because, yeah, from my experience, like, well, I did have one person join me on stream, and I just sent him, like, a friend request to, like, the Ubisoft thing, and sent him a friend request. They joined in, and we started playing. We played for, like, 3 hours, and it was, like, no problem, no disconnects or anything like that. Like, for my first time playing the game, I mean, a lot of it's just kind of first impressions stuff, but like I said, like I remember hearing a lot about like the netcode issues being like the biggest thing with the game. And from my experience, like I felt like my shots were registering for the most part. I think there were a couple of times where I got like shot around the corner, but I think that was more lag compensation rather than bad netcode work or anything like that. It's nothing that I haven't experienced in any other shooter out there. And I think that also could be attributed to like higher ping lobbies. I think most of my pings were around like 75 or something like that, playing on the West
Interesting.
Coast,
Okay.
US.
Yeah.
Of course, I played like right when it dropped. Like I played from like 10 till like 1-ish.
Okay. Yeah. So right when the influx was happening.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, never noticed anything weird with the netcode stuff. I heard some people talk about saying how they felt like they had to deal out a lot of damage, but they felt like when they took damage, they were like instantly killed. Did you experience that at all?
I didn't experience that, no, but I know what you're talking about. I saw a lot of people that were showing even clips where they were dropping a whole magazine into somebody and they weren't getting registered for any of the shots that they were putting into it, which is just so weird for me to see that, because it makes me wonder like what is going into making that happen, because I didn't experience that at all. I would say the only time I ever experienced having to put a multitude amount of rounds into somebody in order to get them killed was when I was using the P90, and that's just because that's how the gun is built. You know, like I did not experience any situations where I wasn't getting registered with the shots I was putting in. And on top of that too, like I wasn't getting down super fast from people. I don't know if I was just lucky. I mean, even my ping wasn't even that great. Like I was right around 50 to 60 ping no matter when I played. And I'm like almost right on top of a server too in Ohio. So I don't know. That was the one thing I feel like I probably should have had better ping, but I didn't have any issues where just stuff wasn't registering and I was having to drop full mags into people. I didn't experience that at all.
Yeah, that's also one thing I definitely noticed when it comes to the gameplay from my experience. Like since it was my first time playing, I actually really like the time to kill with the game, because it's definitely longer than your typical Call of Duty game, which is more just kind of snap accuracy kind of stuff. Yeah. Where this game, it feels like it's kind of like almost a in between Call of Duty and Halo, almost in a way. Yeah. Time to kill, which I actually really enjoy, because it's then like team shooting is incredibly important. Like if you're on a 2v1 situation, you're probably dead in X compared to like Call of Duty, you're like licking your chops, like here we go. You know,
team shotting was actually something that was kind of fun to experience a little bit with like a full lobby that I was having. We played what was it, Saturday night. I did a little stream and got a full lobby, and we had this guy that was in the lobby that was just absolutely fragging his mind out. But we played a match of Escort on, was it Showdown or something like that, and dude, we were just absolutely steam rolling the team on Escort, just team shotting like crazy. I will say that is 100% like a comparison with Halo, because
thank you so much for
easiest way
and welcome to, the
to be successful in Halo, team shot. So it absolutely crosses over to XDefiant. And I would say, as far as the TTK is concerned, I would actually also bring up a comparison of like Black Ops 2, because Black Ops 2 is notorious for you needed to put more like it's going from Black Ops 2 to Call of Duty Ghosts was like a huge change, because Black Ops 2, lots of bullets in order to kill somebody. They also had a lot of network problems in that game as well. And Ghost was like 3 shots max to kill somebody, you know? So for me, Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty. So it feels very similar to that when it comes to how many shots it takes to kill somebody. And Yeah, I absolutely love the TTK and XDefiant. For anybody who says that it's too fast, I'm like, bro, go play another game. Don't touch it.
Definitely, yeah. But I really enjoyed it. Like I say, it helps reward like consistent accuracy rather than like snap accuracy you see in Call of Duty. But also, it doesn't feel like it feels like you can also be a bit of a one-man wrecking crew compared to like in Halo. You can't really do that unless you have like a power weapon, obviously.
Power weapon, really great grenade placement, something like that.
Exactly. So that's one thing I really enjoyed about the game my first time playing around with it. You might have touched on this already a little bit, but I guess like kind of a little bit more overall thing. Like, what was like the key, what was the biggest change that you noticed with this playtest compared to the previous ones?
Biggest change. Thank you so much for subscribing.
That's a good question because
XDefiant Guides community.
So I'll preface this by saying a lot of people who played this server test said that they were really upset and disappointed by it because it felt exactly the same as the previous playtest that we had gotten last year. So the last playtest was a PC public test session that happened in, I think it was September. That was for 6 hours. And then prior to that, we had the open beta in June. So those two builds were very, very, very similar to each other. And this build that we just played is very, very, very similar to those builds. And people were like, bro, you delayed the game for like 8 months and this is what we're playing. We're playing the exact same thing we played before.
Yeah.
So here is the thing that a lot of people I think are not aware of. And it caused a lot of people complaining about that. Mark Rubin and the team explicitly stated that the game is not that much different. They didn't really change anything with the actual gameplay of XDefiant itself in the last 8 months. The delay had nothing to do with them adding more content, adding in more weapons, adding in more maps, changing the way things worked. The delay had absolutely nothing to do with that. The build of the game in terms of how XDefiant functions itself was not going to be changed. What they did in that time frame was completely rebuild their server system, which apparently takes a very long time, we've learned. He said that for them to turn around a brand new server system in like 6 months is like unheard of in the gaming industry, apparently. Like it's very hard to do that quickly. So they basically put the content build of XDefiant on the back burner in order to fix the server side stuff leading up to it. So that's why like a lot of people were complaining that there wasn't anything different, right? So you're asking what's the biggest change, the biggest thing that was different about this test versus before. There really wasn't a huge change, to be completely honest with you, as far as like a very tangible thing is concerned. Like there wasn't any new weapons or any new maps or any new abilities or anything like that. They didn't change a lot of things. The biggest two things I would say would be the servers, but even that is up in the air for certain people. And the other thing I would say is they did make a few adjustments to some balancing. So that would be probably what I would say would be the biggest change, would be the balancing. I will say maybe the one I'll point out is they made a change to the flashbang. And it's, I don't know how I feel about it. It's a little weird. So basically what they did is they turned the flashbang into where now when you get flashed, your sprint is ended. You can no longer sprint, and you are slowed for like 3 seconds, along with being flashed. Which to me, when you describe a flash like that, I'm thinking, oh, that's just a concussion grenade. Like it's slowing you so you can't move. So in my mind, I'm like, bro, I don't understand why they're like combining two different sort of tactical grenades into one. I feel like they need to be completely separate. Like have a flashbang that just flashes you, and then have a concussion grenade that also stuns you, I don't know. So that would be probably maybe the biggest change that I can point out that I'm not a particular fan of. I think that they probably should just have two separate ones. I don't really like the change with that one, I don't think.
But that also would replace your like lethal grenade though. It's like you have one grenade, it either could be like a stun flash or it could be like a lethal grenade. Yeah,
and that's correct. And the biggest reason for that, I think, is because in XDefiant, you have factions, which is extremely similar to that of like Overwatch, where you have your hero, you have a passive ability, you have just a regular ability that you can activate, and then you have your ultimate ability. It's the exact same thing in XDefiant. You have your class with your primary, your secondary, and your attachments, and then you have your ability, your passive ability, your ultimate, and then you have a grenade. So if you have a flashbang, you can't have a frag. If you have a frag, you can't have a flashbang.
Yeah, that seems like a fair balance. I feel like you would probably need to make like a flashbang concussion grenade combo to make it so it can keep up with like the stick grenade that they had, right? And like the
Right.
frag grenade and the other ones as well. So I can see that being the case for sure on that.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about content as well. From what I remember hearing, that this game's actually going to launch with a good amount of content with it already. Like something like double digits in maps, like 10 or 15 or something like that in that range.
Oh, let me take a look and pull it up so I can not say complete incorrect numbers. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty positive that the game is launching with 14 maps, I believe. Let me look just to be completely for sure on this. I don't want to give you wrong information.
Right, though, from what I remember.
It's been so long. They gave us this information June of last year, so I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay, so we're launching with 14 maps. We have 10 arena. So the way XDefiant works, we're launching with 5 game modes. 3 of those game modes are arena game modes. So these are your normal Twitch shooter arcade modes like Domination, Occupy, and Hotshot. Then you have 2 what are called progression game modes. And these are like the similar modes to Overwatch. You have Escort and you have Zone Control. These are like bigger maps, bigger things. You're going to be launching with 10 arena maps and then 4 progression maps. So the progression game modes will only be played on progression maps. The arena game modes will only be played on the arena maps. So technically launching with 14 maps, 10 arena, 4 progression. And that's how it's launching. We're launching with 5 factions, those 5 modes that I said. So you have Domination, Escort, which the best comparison I can give with when it comes to Escort is it is a combination between Grind from Call of Duty Ghosts and Kill Confirmed. So like when you kill somebody, they drop a little coin. You go pick it up. You pick up enough coins in a row, and you have like a there's like a threshold that you pass, and then you get like a big speed boost, and you're the hot shot, so people are chasing you down.
Oh, okay. I didn't get around to playing that mode. I played too much Escort and Domination.
Hot Shot's very fun. It's very fun. It's very fast paced. I played a match on Saturday night where I was sniping on Hot Shot. I tell you what, that's pretty interesting. When you get the speed boost and you're sniping, it's kind of wild. So that's really fun. And then you have Occupy, which is literally, it's like a carbon copy of Hardpoint for the most part. Or even something kind of like maybe
King of the Hill.
Maybe King of the Hill or like Dominion or something like that.
That's why
Yeah.
I played a little bit of that as well, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Escort, which is very self-explanatory. It's Overwatch Escort, same exact thing. And you have Zone Control, which is like it's a very big, it's kind of like a really big Occupy, kind of. It's a little different than that, but it's a little way of explaining it. But that's what it's launching with. And then you're launching also with 24 weapons. So you've got like, you got your M16, your ACR, your M4, your AK-47. I think, is that all of the ARs? I can't remember. I think that might be all the ARs.
Looking through the list, it was pretty much like a pretty standard list of weapons you would expect to see.
Yes.
Utilize like military style weapons. So you would see like an MP5, MP7,
Yep.
P90s, like an M249, like a machine gun, stuff like that.
Mhm.
RPKs in there as well. I use that
RPK.
one a lot.
Yep. And these are all
And
guns that are
so-
launching with the game.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that they've already told us what the year 1 roadmap for the game will be. Now, granted, they told us this a year ago, so
I was gonna say.
you know,
that's a pretty far in advance roadmap to before even your game releases. Like this was gonna happen a year after before we release. Like it's like
Yeah.
a long time there.
yeah, for sure. But at least we have a general idea of what we're going to be getting post-launch. So we have all those things launched, right? 14 maps launching, 24 guns launching, 5 factions, all right there. And then for each calendar, for at least the first year, the calendar year, you're gonna have 4 seasons. So season 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of these seasons, you're gonna get 3 new weapons in each season, 3 new maps in each season, and also a battle pass with each one of those. But you're also gonna get a new faction each time. So by the end of the first year, you're gonna have 9 factions, basically.
That was
Which
one
is-
thing I was noticing with my first time playing through. It was like I felt like the faction groups were a little thin to
Yeah.
start out with. I think there's 5, right?
There is 5. So you've got, and they're also all themed around other Ubisoft franchises. So that's kind of a cool little thing about XDefiant is they are kind of like an amalgamation of like all of Ubisoft's IPs put into one game. So it's kind of cool. You can take and choose what you want from different games and put it into it. It's kind of neat. You've got the Echelon faction, which is from Watch Dogs. You have, oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Echelon, which is from Splinter Cell. You have DedSec, which is from Watch Dogs. You have the Phantoms, which is from Ghost Recon. You have Libertad, which is from Far Cry. And then you have the Cleaners, which is from The Division. So it's just like it's really really neat that that's like all these different Ubisoft games are kind of combined into one. But that makes you really excited is like, okay, well, these are the games that they already have factions from. What will the new ones be in the future? So like people are looking for like an Assassin's Creed faction. Like that would be so cool, man. Assassin's Creed faction. There's rumors around a Rainbow Six Siege faction. It has to, dude, it has to be. It has to be. It'd be so cool. I'm personally looking forward to like a Star Wars Outlaws faction, you know, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan and Ubisoft has, you know, obviously Star Wars Outlaws. I think it'd be super cool to have a crossover faction with that. That'd be absolutely phenomenal. But or even like a For Honor faction. Could you imagine something like that? That'd be so neat. It'd be very interesting. Have to do a lot of creativity with that, but it'd be really cool.
I'm also kind of curious now, with each faction, there was 3 playable characters within each faction. But those are just like, I think from my experience, those were just cosmetic.
From what the chat will yell at me if I'm wrong about this. In my experience, I believe, yeah, they're just cosmetic changes. Just different player models, from what I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone click on the UI. When I first click it on, I'm like, why did they all have the same abilities?
Because you can have.
I'm used to having like each individual character being its own thing, kind of stuff.
Right. From what because like with the Echelon, for example, you've got like 2 different like paths that you can play with. So like you have your ghillie suit, which allows you to go invisible, and then you've got the I think it's called Intel, which is where you can like do like a radar vision and see like enemies around the map, that kind of thing. So, but those are not tied to the player model that you're using. Those are just the different abilities that you can choose to use.
Actually, it reminds me, saw this tweet going out during the playtest weekend that I thought was something worth showcasing. About XDefiant saying like, heads up, we've disabled the digital ghillie suit ability for Echelon due to an issue causing rare invisibility issue. Which, I mean, like, isn't that kind of the idea of it? Or am I misunderstanding? Was there something else along with that?
From what I didn't, at least that I know of, I don't believe I ran into this in my games. But apparently what was happening is there is some exploit that people could use when running around with Echelon in the ghillie suit, where they could basically make themselves invisible the entire match. So the invisibility is only supposed to last for like 5 seconds, something like that, 5 to 10 seconds. But they were apparently able to make themselves completely invisible the entire match, even when they're firing the gun and getting shot. Like they could just be invisible the whole time, apparently. So that's why they disabled that. Which, hey, kudos to Ubisoft for being on top of that and just removing it. I mean, way to go for them, I guess. Just hopefully we don't have to experience that again.
Yeah.
There was actually another, this was prior to the test actually going live. That morning, before it went live, Mark Rubin let us know on Twitter that the DedSec faction's ability, or one of the abilities, which is the, what do you call it? The spider bot. Apparently there was a bug where using the spider bot, I think if you got like hit by it, then you could just fall through the map. So they actually they disabled the spider bot for the server test. So 2 different factions had little bugs, but hopefully, you know, those are easily addressable.
Gotcha. Yeah, from my experience, like the class I was mainly using was the I can't remember. I always refer to it as the drop wall class because it
Phantoms.
throws a wall. Phantoms. Yeah.
That's my favorite one. That's one I use the whole time.
Yeah, especially when you're playing on escort, you're just constantly throwing out those walls. And like it seemed like that was like the most popular one people kept using. And no one was really using the Watchdogs class, like the hacking one.
Yeah, because that's DedSec is the Watchdogs one, and that's the main like draw I think for a lot of people with that class is the spider bot. And since they disabled the spider bot, people were just like not really interested in running it. Yeah. Personally, I say that the spider bot is absolute garbage town, and we should remove it from the game. But you know, that's just me.
But the hacking ability was really nice with it, especially when people throwing down like those drop walls or something like that. You can just hack it.
Yeah, just swap it.
It swaps it just then for you. So then like that heavy usage of that class, especially during escort, just kind of flips it on its head kind of thing there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
I definitely found a lot of the abilities can't really be countered by hacking though, since a lot of them are kind of like quick one-time use kind of things, because they're not really persistent things like you could hack besides like the drop wall I was talking about. Most of those other abilities you can't really hack, and so I didn't really. I thought it was the main reason why a lot of people weren't using it.
Yeah, I think I think you're definitely right with that, because a lot of them they're pretty quick usable ones, and even like the ultimate abilities, they're not really. I think the big draw outside the spider bot with DeadSec is like their ultimate ability. I believe that they can it's basically like a big old EMP, if I'm not mistaken, and it just basically disables all of your abilities. Like the enemy team's abilities.
I also kind of want, so we touched a little bit about performance on this one. One thing I definitely noticed when I was playing is that my frames were locked at 75, even though I was playing at 144. Yeah, I had someone else in my chat mention that as well, that their frames were locked at 75, and I was wondering if that was like some weird bug with the build, or is that like just me, or
so
I'm not sure.
You're not the only person that I have heard say that. That is a thing that I didn't experience that myself, but I've played previous playtests, obviously. So I don't know if maybe it's a bug or if it's a setting that's like on by default and you have to go in and like turn it off or something like that. I will say that the video setting and everything in XDefiant is maybe is a little rudimentary because it's just the playtest and they didn't have like all the robust features and stuff like that in there. But it was a little bit of a pain on my end too. I had to go on my NVIDIA control panel and like disable my G-Sync in there, and then I rebooted my game and it still had me locked at 120, and then had to like reboot it again, and then it like opened up my frames. I will say the performance side of things, I definitely think can be better, for sure. I didn't experience that 75 FPS sync, but I have heard other people having that issue. So I think that's definitely something that I hope has a little bit more attention drawn to it come full release, is some of the performance bits on PC. Because even like me, I was running a 3080 and not the highest settings, pretty high settings, but not the highest settings, and I was still only getting like 120 average, like right around there, which I feel like, considering how arcadey this game is, I feel like you should be getting more frames than that, but I don't know. I definitely think it's something that needs to be, tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I was playing it with window borderless, which locks it to your refresh rate of your monitor. Kind of gives you like de facto V-Sync basically. So I was wondering what was kind of going on with that, but
I ran mine in full screen, so I'm not sure actually.
Gotcha. That might have been something like that too. But
yeah, it could be.
Like I said, I was playing while I was streaming, so that's might be why it was happening like that.
Yeah.
I also saw in the patch notes that it was a very important thing I'm really glad they fixed, and I want to see what your thoughts were on it.
Okay.
Were the bullet holes cooler? That's an actual thing from the patch notes.
It is.
Bullet holes cooler.
It is an actual thing.
So, when I tried it, since I was playing like on medium settings, because I just booted up, I just wanted to get into play and not worry tinker much with settings. That like it was like a little like square around like a white square kind of thing. Like it didn't really look very cool.
I did not actually take the time to pay attention and see how amazing the bullet holes were. I was focused on a few more things than just that. but a little sidebar though with the patch notes, I absolutely loved reading through those patch notes, because you could tell that it was just somebody sitting there and having a great time writing out those notes. Like the bullet hose now look cooler. What was another one that I saw that was so fun? Oh yeah. Something that was honestly, oh, here we go. Various sound improvements and fixes. Really, too many to list. So many. Like, just a little personal touch. Usually when you read patch notes, it's just very bullet point, get the point across, here's the details, here it is. But this is just kind of funny to read. Like, somebody clearly sat here and had a good time writing these notes. I'm here for that. If that's how they're going to do it in the future, I'm so here for that.
And hopefully they get, if once the game finally releases, you get a chance to read these patch notes a little more often, But do you think that this game is ready for release? Do you think that, like, I've heard leaks and suggestions saying like this summer would be a release time frame for XDefiant?
Yeah, I think the current leak that is in the forefront is that we're looking at a June, like a early summer release, which would put us at like last week of June, something like that. Before that, it was May 8th was the perspective of a release, with season 1 dropping, I think, June 19th or something like that. At this point, when it comes to a release date, I'm not going to put any stock in literally anything until Mark comes out and says, here's what we learned about the game during the server test. Here's what you guys can expect. I think that we will, within the next week or two, have some confirmation one way or another from Mark to say, hey, this is what we learned from the server test. We're launching like at this such and such date, or we learned this. We're not prepared to give you guys a launch yet. We'll let you know soon. One of those two things is going to happen. I think either way, it will launch either between now and summer. I don't foresee the game taking any longer than summer, unless for some reason their servers are just so like actual trash that they just can't, do it anytime soon. But I mean, in my opinion, yes, I do think the game is releasable. I like to think about it in the perspective of like the issues that people had with the game.
Hang on, I forgot to turn off my notifications, so I have a follow just playing through, and it's like,
oh, I got you,
blaring over you. My bad on that one.
No, you're good.
But yes, no, okay, yeah, go ahead.
The way that I see it personally is, I had a very good experience. Other people did not, but even then, the problems that people were experiencing are not new things that we have not experienced before in video games and online video games. The reason why XDefiant was delayed is because Mark literally said that the game would be unplayable. Like, that's how bad the problems were. We didn't see those problems like up front and center in the previous tests, but he said that literally you wouldn't be able to play with your friends. You wouldn't be able to do any of these things. That's how bad it was on the back end. So assuming that those things have in fact been addressed, and at least in my experience, I was able to play with people. I think a lot of the issues that people experienced, they're not so bad that it would deem the game being delayed again for another 6+ months. I just don't see that happening. I think that they have a better basis with their server system and their netcode. And now, given the feedback and the data that they got from the server test, I think that they can go through that and say, okay, here is our hierarchy of things we need to adjust. This is what, is immediate and needs to be addressed right now. These are some things that, are not as immediate. Maybe they can be addressed after the game comes out during Season 0. Because the other thing, too, my perspective on it, I think Season 0 is kind of like a soft launch for the game, and Season 1 will be like the real launch of the game, because Season 1 is when we're supposed to be getting a bunch of more features that are coming to the game. Like, Season 0 has been told to us for a while that it's supposed to be 6 weeks. That might change, but 6 weeks is how long Season 0 is supposed to be, or the preseason. And then Season 1, we're supposed to be getting a bunch of new features. So that's kind of how I see it. I see Season 1 as like the spiritual launch of the game, and I can foresee them releasing Season 0 within the next month or so in the state that we have right now, given some fixes that they put in based off the server test feedback. And then throughout that 6-week time frame of Season 0, they can then develop a patch for Season 1 that will fix a lot of the problems. I don't see this game taking that much longer. And like I mentioned in passing earlier too, like, if you guys remember Black Ops 2 back in the day, if you played that, like, people absolutely love the game, absolutely adore it, and I do as well. But bro, the servers and the netcode of that game were so awful, man. It was terrible, bro. Lag compensation was awful in that game. And it's one of the most successful, if not the most successful, Call of Duty of all time from a, public perception perspective. So, I think that this game is very much releasable in its current state. And I think that if they just drop it where it's at right now and then work on some fixes in the next, couple months, I think it'll be just fine, personally.
Do you think that we'll see more communication from Mark Rubin and the XDefiant team? Because it was a good amount of months with being radio silent.
It was a barren wasteland.
Until those major leaks came out. You being like an XDefiant focus channel, you had like 3 months of like, absolutely nothing. Like 3 months of like nothing. Like, it was the tweet before that was like, I think I remember correctly, was like a Happy New Year's tweet, and then before that was like this the last tweet saying that the September playtest closed.
And
then you didn't hear anything until the leaks came out about XDefiant.
Yep. I actually took a 3-month hiatus from YouTube. 3 months to the day. I took 3 months off from making videos. I came back 3 months later, made a video, and like 2 weeks later, that's when Tom Henderson's report from Insider Gaming came out. And then that's when Mark and the team started communicating again. So I do believe that, yes, we will start to have more communication from them. I think the first bit of that communication will be them discussing what they have learned from the server test. But I think that if they do another radio silence of like 4 months again, all hell will break loose. And we will see some absolute angry people online, bro. I don't foresee that occurring again unless they literally come out and say, yo guys, we're so sorry, but this game is actual crap and we have to go back to the drawing board. We'll see you again in 2 years, you know. But that's, you know, I knock on wood, that's not gonna happen. I do think that the communication is going to improve greatly. I do. Because you got to think, like, once the reason why they weren't talking to us, they said, was because they didn't have anything to talk about. Like, it's not like they were doing new things to the game. They were literally just building a server system. Like, how are you going to update people about that? Like, oh, hey guys, this week we added this line of code to our network. You know, like, there's not much to communicate with that. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah, especially with like technical jargon like that to the general public, it'd just be straight over people's heads.
Straight over people's heads, and they're just going to get annoyed with it.
I think it was more that since like before that radio silence, it was actually really good communication.
Very good communication.
Like you're getting constant updates. You're kind of know what's going on. It was actually kind of like really giving you like an inside look of almost like what the development of XDefiant is going on, like how it's going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To then just hear nothing for months with no explanation really beyond like what Mark Rubin saying, I think on Twitter a couple times, like, oh yeah, we're just updating, we're working on server stuff. You know, it's you need to maintain that. Even you set that standard of communication to then just completely drop it off, people start to worry and start to conspirize.
I think that was where the disconnect came with people, because they had set that precedence, and it was actually their communication. If you go back onto YouTube and you look back at XDefiant videos from last summer, last early fall, that was like one of the biggest things that people praised the game about, was the communication, because it is a unknown thing in modern gaming to have said communication from developers about their games, unless it's like a super small indie game, you know, where it's just like a few people that are talking with people on Twitter. Like having communication from the devs, and especially the executive producer of the game, by the way, is kind of unheard of. So they had set a precedence for that. But I think along with precedence, an unprecedented situation happened to them where they were not expecting to have to completely rebuild such a core function of their game. And I think that's where the difficulty kind of came in from the community. It's like, bro, we would talk to you all the time. Mark, you've been talking to us all the time, and all of a sudden we haven't heard anything. I mean, a lot of people were getting worried that the game was just going to get canned, you know, like we haven't heard anything. So we're like, oh my God, are they just going to full on just kill the game? Is it not coming out now? You know? So I think that it was a very tricky situation that didn't really have a good answer either way, because you got to think, like, if Mark was coming out and saying, hey guys, you know, we're still working hard, there's definitely going to be somebody that's going to be saying, well, it looks like you're hardly working. You know, it's like they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah,
absolutely. But I mean, yeah, I would, like I said, from where we're talking, kind of rounded back to the game itself, like from when I played, it felt like it was in a pretty good state to release in. I've seen some people kind of also point out saying that like gunshots and animations don't exactly line up one-to-one when it comes to the game. Like they happen like you'll see like a bullet hole hit, and then you'll see like the flash of your gun kind of thing.
Interesting. Okay.
If that makes kind of sense. Like I was on a exclusive Ace video, kind of brought up. If
I haven't had the chance to watch that yet. I wanted to. I like to watch basically every XDefiant video that I can see on YouTube, and there's just such a backlog of new ones that came out over the weekend with the server test that I haven't had the chance to sit down and watch any of them yet. But I did see that he did like a very detailed comparison and breakdown of some stuff, so I am excited to take a look and see what he was able to find with that.
Yeah, it sounded like he was very concerned with like if the game released like this, then he would kind of struggle. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, he was talking about like how the game feels, right? Like if do you play on mouse and keyboard or do you play on controller?
I played all on controller. Yeah, all on controller. But I heard that some people had some issues when running on mouse and key. I heard some people saying that sniping specifically felt a little bit weird on mouse and key. But I just played on controller.
I would say that I played only on mouse and keyboard, and from my experience, like aiming and shooting felt fine. Sniping did feel a little weird, but I think it's more just like the way that the idle sway kind of works.
Okay.
Within the game, it's
Yeah.
a little different than like other games out there that mainly Call of Duty and Halo for the other shooters, and Battlefield.
Yeah.
For like the main other shooters that I play, and I'm wondering if like most of the complaints are more that like this game is just feels different rather than not feeling correct.
Correct. I think that is a good point to bring up because a lot of people, I think, have a false perception of what XDefiant is supposed to be, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people put an expectation onto it that it needs to feel a certain way. Like I was watching Panda. He's a really good XDefiant YouTuber. His name's Panda Was Taken. He made a video today where he's like reviewing the server test and kind of how it felt and everything. And he was saying that when you slide and you jump, you do a little bunny hop in this game, which is its like main thing of movement. When you do a little bunny hop, you can change direction midair. So like if you start your bunny hop, your momentum doesn't just carry forward. You can actually change your direction to go right or go left in the middle of the air while you're doing that. And a lot of people complained about that. They were like, yo, like, why is this game so floaty? Like, it shouldn't do that. It should just carry my momentum forward. Well, I had actually mentioned when we were in the server test playing that it actually feels very similar to surfing in CSGO, actually. And what I mean by that is, like, if anyone's ever done any surfing in CSGO, you are very floaty, and you can change your direction midair by hitting, you know, A and D on your keyboard. Panda was saying that this is a feature of XDefiant. It's not a bug. It's a feature to be able to move in the middle of the air, not a bug. So I think a lot of people have a different expectation for what the game is supposed to feel like in XDefiant, because it is different. It is a different feel. It's similar to some other shooters, Call of Duty, but it's different. It's its own thing. And I think some people, like, they just didn't quite grasp that concept. And to be fair, too, when I first played the game last summer, it took me a while to get adjusted to how it feels, because especially like on controller back then, it felt very clunky on controller. I will say it felt way better on controller in the server test. But in the past, like, it took me a while to get adjusted to it and get used to it. It feels different than what you're expecting it to. But once you get the hang of it, it has its own separate identity. I think people just need to kind of give it a little bit more time and just realize that you're adjusting to a different playstyle.
Yeah, that's one thing I was kind of thinking about when it comes to playing, because like I said, playing mouse and keyboard felt pretty good. Though, I mean, you can't really help but make those comparisons to Call of Duty with Mark Rubin being the head producer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Executive producer for Call of Duty there.
Yeah.
I think he was the executive producer for Ghost, I think, mainly. I think also Modern Warfare 3 was involved with that.
I think it was MW2, 3, and Ghosts. He might have done the first one, but I think it was MW2, 3, and Ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you see also like they utilize COD YouTubers and streamers as part of the marketing. Like they're very much like, hey, Call of Duty kids, are you upset with how Call of Duty plays? Come play XDefiant.
Come on over to us. Yes, 100%. Well, I think that, I mean, just straight up, that's, in my opinion, like specifically like my viewers on my YouTube channel, my actual audience is like mainly 18 to 35 people, which it's kind of funny because that's exactly who I am. And I think a lot of those people are people who used to play Call of Duty back in the day, maybe aren't as hip with how Call of Duty has changed in recent years, and they like the way it used to play. That's me. Like, that was the biggest thing that drew me to the game. Outside of skill-based matchmaking, the no skill-based matchmaking in this game, that was the biggest draw, was like it felt like old school COD. So 100%, like you can't remove the comparison of Call of Duty because it is in the game's DNA. It is 100% Call of Duty-esque, 100%. But there's a line where that stops. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people are like not seeing where that line stops.
Yeah, dude, there definitely is like the DNA of COD mixed in with that, very
100%.
much so. But it definitely, I think it still has like its own uniqueness to it, to where you'd want to play XDefiant over playing Call of Duty, but you don't play XDefiant because it's like Call of Duty.
Right.
That kind of makes sense. But
No,
like,
I 100% agree with that.
similar mechanics and feel to where you can feel like you transition from one game to another much easier than other games out there.
Yeah.
I would say that like also that like the though the one thing I think Call of Duty does still kind of maybe have a little bit over XDefiant is the fact of how, at least from my experience, of how the guns feel when you shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe part of the audio as well. I felt like the gun audio wasn't really as like punchy or as crisp as you would expect like a gun to sound, or like it did feel like it was as weighty when shooting a gun that you would expect. Maybe it was like a visual recoil thing or something like that.
Yeah.
There's some aspects of it that felt a little more video gamey in a way on that side, but
Mhm.
again, that's kind of more minor details. I care more about the gameplay and how, like, is it fun, and then like stuff like that's a little bit additional things. But I mean, how do you feel with like the general feel of the game?
Well,
When it comes, like shooting.
yeah, absolutely. I think what you said right there made perfect sense. Actually, you were saying that XDefiant kind of feels a little more video gamey than how modern Call of Duty is with how it shoots, like the visual recoil, the smoke. I think you're probably right in the essence of maybe firing a weapon in Call of Duty is a little bit more polished in terms of the feedback that you get from firing a weapon in Call of Duty is probably a little more polished than it is in XDefiant. And I would attribute that to the 20 years of Call of Duty that's out there, and the multitude of developers and studios that have worked on it and refined to an absolute diamond the feel of firing a gun in Call of Duty. On the flip side, I think there's a reason why XDefiant doesn't feel that way, and I think it's intentional, actually. It has been impressed upon the community from Mark Rubin and from the team for a long time now that XDefiant is an arcadey game. It isn't focused or having any desire to be realistic at all. It wants to be arcadey. It wants to kind of tap into that old school shooter, Halo 3, Halo 2, right? Arcade feel of a game, not focused on hyper realism, not super uber duper worried about like, okay, well, in real life, would this interact with this the same way? Like, not worried about that, not worried like with Battlefield and, distance travel and stuff like it is arcadey. In its core, when you're playing this, you're realizing that this is a fun video game and it is arcadey. I think that's just the perfect explanation for how it is. And to me, that's what I want greatly. Very much. Because I can appreciate, 100%, I can appreciate the polish that goes into firing a weapon in Call of Duty nowadays. Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2. They've kind of turned more into like a military sim than an arcade shooter, if that makes sense. There's a lot of hyper realism, which is kind of weird because they launch with hyper realism and then they release Nicki Minaj skins and all this other stuff that
And
like kind of.
now they have death effects where you turn people into joints.
Yeah, turn into a joint, and then I saw they have like a dinosaur skin that's in the game now. It's like, bro, like pick what you're gonna be. You know what I mean? But I think that is an intentional thing between XDefiant and Call of Duty. I think XDefiant wants to be arcadey. They want to, you don't have to subvert your expectations because you're already in a fun world. I think that that's an intentional thing, and for me, I really, really like that because the hyper realism that you have in Call of Duty has, I think, caused a lot of the issues that has been plagued in Call of Duty recently, where it's like they're trying to be super realistic with certain things, but then that kind of messes around with how they want it to play, right? Like Modern Warfare 2 versus Modern Warfare 3, the biggest gripe that people had with Modern Warfare 2 is that they slowed the game down significantly. They got rid of the slide canceling, they slowed it down, but people were like, we don't want that. We want to be able to run around and be fast and do all these things. So then Modern Warfare 3, they completely reverted all those things. So I think it has like an identity problem with Call of Duty in that essence now. But I'm just glad that from the get-go in XDefiant, we are being arcadey. We're not focused on being realistic because it's just a fun video game.
Yeah, definitely. I think you probably put it that way. Maybe you think about it differently, and I'm like, actually, no, I think it might feel just fine, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious when it comes to, so this is gonna be like a free-to-play shooter,
Yeah.
right? So you can
Yeah.
just download it. The only thing that's stopping you from playing is your will to download the game.
Exactly. Yep, that's it.
So you mentioned there is like a battle pass. Like, what's gonna be involved with this battle pass? So they could be like hiding like various characters behind a paywall, maybe, and like maybe in the battle pass you grind the free tier, you get like the new like hero operator, whatever you want to call it,
The faction.
class,
Mm-hmm.
faction, right? But then if you want to get like the other 2 or 3, then you have to like pay into it maybe or something. Have they described anything about that?
So they haven't gone into like super detail about the battle pass yet, because that's definitely like a post-launch thing. Like that is not absolutely integral to the main function of the game, the shooting, the maps, that kind of thing. But with the battle pass, from what I understand and what I've heard from people, it's going to be your typical battle pass from modern shooters out there. You're going to progress through that. You'll have a free version. You'll have the premium version that you have to purchase. You'll get I'm sure you'll get stuff like weapon XP or like double XP for your character, things like that. But yeah, they will have like, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that there's one of the weapons that is not launching with the game, but it's coming in the battle pass. I'm pretty sure it's the MDR, and that's one of those things where you'll unlock it as you progress through the battle pass. And then I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure that DedSec is also supposed to be one of the factions that you unlock through the battle pass as well, but I'm pretty sure those are free ones. I don't think those are part of the premium version. They haven't really gone into super details about the battle pass yet. There's been a lot of leaks and a lot of things that are on Twitter. You guys can go on Twitter and look up and see some data mine stuff. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to have a lot of skin related stuff in it. You'll have like progressible skins, I think, for the different factions or for your weapons and things. But they've been pretty radio silent on what the microtransaction battle pass system is going to look like. I'm very interested. Like, that's something that I'm really interested in learning about, because it's been dangled over our head for a while now. We don't really know what is going to be in there. It's a free-to-play game, so you have to just from the get-go realize this game is free to play. So with that understood, like, there's going to be some microtransactions, there's going to be some money spent that's going to happen. They have to be supported somehow, right? If it's a free-to-play game, it has to be supported in some aspect. It's different than paying a full $70 price tag and then still having $30 bundles every 2 weeks or whatever in Call of Duty. Like, it's a free game from the onset. You don't have to spend money, but they are going to, incentivize you to do so. One thing that Mark has said, though, is that they're not going to completely, like, abandon the free playing progression of cosmetics. Like, they're still going to have mastery camos. They're still going to have, like, multiple, camo grinds and things like that that you can work through without spending money on the game, which I think is very important and very good that they're doing that. But I will say that this is a game that I do not spend money on video games, ever. Like, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've ever gone out of my way to spend extra money on a game. I just don't do it. This is a game that I'm actually excited to spend my money on, because I'm really excited to see what they do bring to the table from a cosmetic perspective. And the game itself is strong enough, and I'm happy enough to play the game that I've been playing so far, that I'm willing to support the developer, if that makes sense. They have a good will there. I've heard some really amazing things about the cosmetics. I just want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, where's the FOMO part in this? Where's Mickey going like, oh, I really need to buy into that kind of thing? We come across that a little bit on the Halo side of things, where
right.
They'll put like a really sweet armor set. You're like, oh god, I really need that, and you're like, okay, fine, you got me. Like, the one that got me was like the Halo Combat Vault.
Yeah, the CE.
So I'm like, okay, fine. It's expensive. It's way overpriced, but you got me on that one. Fine.
Right.
But and then, like, there really isn't much in the way of like things you can grind for to unlock in Halo.
Right.
So I'm glad to hear that in XDefiant you will be able to have some level of that. That's one thing
that
actually Call of Duty does very well again over Halo, is that like it rewards players for playing.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if there's you said there might be like some weapons tied behind the progression of battle passes or something like that.
Yeah, from what I understand, though, I'm pretty sure those are going to be free. Like, because when they say that they're going to have 3 new weapons every season, those weapons, from what I understand, will be a part of that battle pass, but they'll be the free version. Like, anybody playing the game will be able to unlock them through the quote-unquote battle pass as they play the game. I'm sure that, if you pay for the premium version and buy the skip tiers thing, you'll probably get them, quicker, obviously. But from what I understand, those things are all free. You just have to play the game to get them. Now, one thing regarding progression, too, real quick, also, there is a prestige system that is going to be coming to the game. It is not in the game at the moment, and it won't be there at launch, but they are working on a prestige system. They talked about that last summer. Mark literally just made a tweet. He was like, do you guys want to see a prestige system? And like, if we do it, what kind of prestige system would you like to see? Would you like to see a classic prestige system that is like, 10 prestiges and then you're good? Or do you want to see a more modern prestige like Call of Duty does, where they like give you new prestige every season? And everyone was like, yes, please give us prestiges. So they're like, all right, we're going to do a prestige system. And they were kind of deciding what it's going to look like. And from what we've heard, it's not coming at launch. It should come shortly after launch. But it's probably going to be a mix of a classic prestige and a modern prestige. So that is something that I'm very excited to see, because that will be something that incentivizes longevity of playing for people, continuing to play, continuing to grind for those levels and those rewards. We just don't know a lot about it yet.
Especially if you can tie some rewards behind those levels, it'd be real nice.
For sure.
We waited over a year for Halo to get that, and then at the very end, again, like a pretty sweet Master Chief Armor set, but it's quite the grind itself, and I don't even see myself even ever getting that far into the game, especially I already was like 700 hours into playing Halo Infinite, to then start a whole new grind progression. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have it in me to be honest.
Man, I gave up with that after like the end of season 1, man. I've dabbled in it since then, but I'm just ready for a new Halo. Just freaking give us Halo 6, bro.
But also, I'm interested. I did not know that they were going to do a delayed season release when it comes to XDefiant. So they're saying, like, basically with day 1 being season 0.
Yes.
Are they going to pretty much hold off on like the battle pass and microtransactions, and then when season 1 kicks in, that's when you get like the full suite of, hey, spend your money here?
Kind of. So they are going to have a battle pass in the preseason. It's just going to be much smaller. Obviously, it's going to be a smaller time frame, so it's not going to be as robust. We don't know what the rewards and stuff like that specifically are going to be there in preseason, but season 0 will have a much more streamlined version of XDefiant. Then season 1 will come out and we'll have the full-blown battle pass, full-blown microtransactions. We're expecting to have, a good bit of new content coming in season 1. We're hoping that some new game modes come in at season 1. That's all open, copium at this point. But we will have a battle pass in season 0. We will have, microtransactions and stuff like that in season 0. But the expectation is that it's going to be to a much lesser extent than in season 1. Season 1 will be like, boom, here's the real full fun game. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know about maybe the fun part side of things. I thought the game was pretty fun for the playthrough. But I'm wondering if like they'll just hold up on the FOMO side of things. So then when the reviewers come in, they go, "Yeah, this game's great," and they go, "Okay, let's crank that microtransaction up needle." From low to medium, and then we'll turn up the high next season.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. We'll see. But I would not be surprised.
Hey, Mark Rubin worked for Activision, right? I'm just saying.
This is true.
No, I wouldn't expect that to be that crazy. Like, we do see that same strategy happen with Call of Duty, just so then like when the reviews come in, people don't complain
completely
about
trash it
too much. Yeah, exactly. But so I guess maybe to kind of just round off the conversation here. We don't have a release date. Release date is rumored to be in summer, probably early summer.
Yeah,
maybe June. That's what I've been hearing. And do you think the game's if game release tomorrow, would you say it's good, or are you saying like, well, we need a little something extra to work on?
I would say that's hard, because if it's me, I'm like, yeah, release it today because I don't have any issues. But I would say I think that the game could use another month of development, maybe. I think if they released it today, I think a lot of people would be happy, and I think a lot of people would also not be happy. I think that they should 100% take the data and the feedback that they got from the server test, implement some changes that they can do, and then I think in a month from now, I think if they dropped it, I think, yeah, it would be in a perfectly reasonable state. I hope that's what they do, honestly. I hope it doesn't wait till summer. I hope that we do get it, sometime in the month of May. That would be what I would love to see, is for it to come out in sometime in May. If they did release it though today, I think it would be fine. I do. I think the large majority of people, like even on my interactions on Twitter, because I was very interactive with people trying to see like what were people's thoughts online throughout the time frame. And like I made a couple of tweets where I was saying like, this is my experience, and they got a ton of impressions and a lot of likes, and also got a lot of comments of people saying that they had a different experience. So it's very polarizing. I think there's a lot of people on one side and a lot of people on another side. And that's why I think they should just take a little bit of time, iron out a few of the things. So this way, when they do launch it, maybe they can appease a little bit more people. But even if they did release it today or tomorrow, I think honestly it would be in a good place. I do.
Yeah, from my experience, it worked well. On top of what you mentioned. Of course, like I think it's just because like I have a pretty solid internet connection.
Yep.
I'm on the west coast of the U.S., so like I can find servers with like decent pings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine if you're like maybe with weaker, less consistent internet speeds and a little bit more rural location, you might be having some more issues. Like talk about the netcode. Like I had someone come in the chat earlier to say like the netcode for XDefiant is a bit of a mess, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I felt like it was fine. Like I didn't. When I was playing, I was like, more people complain about the netcode. Apparently, it's better. I didn't notice anything.
Right.
Really. Besides, like your typical lag conversation of being shot around the corner a couple times, but that was just kind of like, yeah, it's just typical lag conversation, which
Right.
could be more that they were playing on a laggy connection. But it is what it is. It's online matchmaking. That's what happens.
Right.
That's why everyone says fight me on land, not online. Right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm excited for XDefiant. I'm definitely gonna give it a download when the release does come and get a chance to fully experience it.
Oh,
I'll be
definitely, man.
I'll definitely be grinding Escort because I loved Escort.
And just remember too, man, no skill-based matchmaking in the casual
Yes.
matchmaking. Like that,
Mhm.
that is like a poster child like marketing thing right there. In modern video games, a game that is coming out and directly saying we don't have any SBMM and we don't have any EOMM in casual matchmaking. When you're playing ranked, yes, but that's ranked. But when you're just sitting down trying to chill and play some games, bro, there's no SBMM. That was the number one thing that drew me to the game. Dead serious. When I saw that game had no skill-based matchmaking, I was like, all right, let me get into the next beta. Like that's exactly what happened to me. So just keep that in mind. That's a huge aspect. Huge aspect.
Yeah, from my experience, I definitely noticed a pretty good mix of players. Of course, like I was playing right when it dropped, so you're probably gonna come across a more dedicated group of people, like Twitch streamers, YouTubers, and stuff like that. I saw a few TTVs and some YT gamer tags, in the mix of things. But it seemed like there wasn't really too much of a skill gap difference, really. Of course, we were playing like an open beta test, so you'll find a very biased group of people signing up for that. But from my experience, like, it didn't really feel like I had to be like extra sweaty or try extra hard on some things. Like, I just kind of was just jumping in and shooting and having fun, which is like how it was back in the good old days.
Exactly, the good old days.
But it feels so weird to have like in a world controlled by algorithms to say like our game does not have an algorithm.
Yeah.
To then be like, thank God.
Dude, 100%. The one thing that they do is, so the matchmaking is completely ping related. So ping is king. They're going to match you based off of best ping. And then what they will do is they will balance the teams. So theoretically, let's say, you have a lobby of, what is this? It's 6v6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, I couldn't remember that for a second. So let's just say, you have 6 of the 12 players are really good and you have 6 of the 12 players that are really bad. Theoretically, the way that it should work is that 3 good players will be on one side, 3 bad players on one side, and vice versa. So like they're not going to have them be completely one-sided, but the actual matchmaking process is just completely ping related, So for me, I had some really, like, there were some games where I was steamrolling and then other games where I got absolutely steamrolled, And like, I love that. Like, I want that to be the case. I want to be shown up by some people, and then I want to be able to go and show up some other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had to like just cheese every angle like I do with Call of Duty. I feel like I could just like play logically, use cover. You'll do decent. I wasn't really slaying lobbies, but I also wasn't getting slayed.
Right.
There was a couple times where I think I matched against like a party of 3, and then like they were all using snipers. I was getting like one tap like crazy. I'm like, what's going on with this lobby?
I had a lobby just like that.
Yeah, it just like helps create more variety in the gameplay. Where if I'm
it
playing,
does
like, a game with strict skill-based matchmaking, it all just kind of feels very level. And if you do well, get knocked right back down and kind of level it right back out once again. And it just feels like you're just being fed an experience rather than just playing against people online. And,
yes,
I know. Yeah,
completely
I
agree.
don't want to say natural way because it's very unnatural, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I 100% know what you mean. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I was wondering if like advertising for, again, to kind of bring it back to like the Call of Duty advertising, utilizing streamers, like those are 2 big things. Like, hey, COD kids, you'll like this because lack of SPMM and it's like Call of Duty. And I was wondering if that was like really the right approach to make the game, because I feel like you'll forever have that connection with Call of Duty with the game.
I think that it will definitely have the connection with the game for a long time, unless it becomes genuinely successful and does garner its own community. I think a good example for this would be when Apex launched, right? Like, Fortnite was the thing. Like, every single person on planet Earth was playing Fortnite. Then Apex comes out, and it was like the first real, like, there had been other battle royales that came out at the time, but this was like the first real competitor that came out after Fortnite.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, people were like, oh, it's the Fortnite killer, Fortnite killer, Fortnite killer. Nobody says that anymore because it's developed its own community of people that absolutely love Apex. And you have your own community of people that absolutely love Fortnite. And I think that in the end, that will be what happens with XDefiant. It's always going to have that comparison of like the feel of the game being similar to Call of Duty. But I think as long as it comes out, it does its thing, it is successful, it develops its own community, you're going to see that conversation kind of fall to the wayside.
I would hope so. I will definitely like to see it become its own thing. But I think it'll always have that connection just because, like we talked about earlier, there's that shared DNA with the game.
Yes.
I mean, like, yeah, like I said, the executive producer used to be on Call of Duty, so.
Right.
And he's definitely not been afraid to just straight up, make that connection either.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's always going to be there, but it definitely, like I said earlier, like it does have its shared DNA, but definitely also feels like its own thing. Like I wouldn't, like even though like XDefiant can kind of scratch that COD itch that I think all of his FPS fans can get from time to time, it definitely still has like its own mechanics to it, where like you would play XDefiant not to replace Call of Duty, but along with it kind of thing.
Oh, 100%. And here's the thing, man, like, if XDefiant comes out and kills Call of Duty, that's not good for anybody, right? Competition is good for everybody. Having multiple games for people to play is good for everybody. Like, if you've got a game, if you can go out there and play Call of Duty and have a great time, and you can go out there and play XDefiant and have a great time, that's good. Options is good, and also competition is good because it makes the other developer think, oh man, we got to step up our game, and then it makes the other developer think, oh man, now we got to step up our game, and now you're breeding competition towards success, right? So as a consumer, you're reaping the benefits because you're getting good stuff no matter what. If you want to play COD, you're having a good game. If you're playing XDefiant, you're having a good game. Like, that's the way for it to be, and that's what I'm excited about seeing happen. Is I really want to see the influence that each other has on them, but in a good way, not in a bad way, which we've seen with Halo in the past. Going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach to Halo 4, those old ordnance drops in Halo 4, man. Some dark times right there, man.
Don't forget the perks and loadouts as well.
Oh, that's right, dude. I forgot about that. I tried to reverse that from my memory. So as long as it doesn't turn into that.
Actually, a funny thing, I remember a friend who worked as like a researcher for Microsoft during like the Halo 4 days.
Oh boy.
He told me that like they actually used to have kill streaks in the game. In Halo 4, and then actually they seemed like from the people's research that they were bringing in, people actually really liked it, and then one day it just switched to the ordnance system, and everyone's like, where do the kill streaks go? And they go, and he was like, I don't know.
Dude, I if I could go back in time and just change that situation, I would absolutely. Don't even get me started. This isn't a Halo podcast, even though you are the Halo man.
Yeah, I see the sword in the background over there. I see that sword.
Where's it at? Oh wait, that's right. Yeah, I've got it. Right over where is it? I lost it. Oh yeah, over there. Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm a Halo guy to the core. I am. Halo season 2 was not as bad as they say it was.
Not as bad, but I also completely lost interest with the series during season 2.
That's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I guess that's all like the talking points I really have to bring out with you there, Buckeye, about
all right.
XDefiant things. I guess to round it off, like, where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the internet. Yeah.
So me, I go by the name Buckeye, but I have a YouTube channel called XDefiant Guides. We are a part of a broader organization called Ultra Guides. We have multiple channels covering multiple games, but I'm XDefiant Guides. If you just simply look up XDefiant Guides on YouTube, you'll catch it. Go on Twitter, Buckeye Plays. That is my Twitter, Buckeye Plays. I'm on there every single day chatting. You guys can interact with me on there. That's the easiest way to talk with me. I'm on there every single day. If I'm not making a video, I'm on Twitter. But that's the two places, XDefiant Guides on YouTube, and Buckeye Plays on Twitter. Those two places.
Right on. Again, Buckeye, I really appreciate coming on to the show, I guess you want to call it, to chat about some XDefiant, because I figured like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I have my experiences, but I'm also coming from like first impressions kind of thing, and I
Sure.
want to see if like, you've been sticking with the franchise, the game, I should say,
Yeah.
for
Almost a year now.
for almost a year now, being like
Yeah.
dedicated to it. I want to see like what like a person who's been sticking with it, their thoughts on the experience, if it was similar or different. But I think you and I kind of lined up on a lot of topics where like,
Yeah.
yeah, it just felt good. It's a fun game. Then we're just waiting for release.
That's there you go. That's the TLDR. It's fun. We're waiting for release. But hey, thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. This was super fun.
Of course, man. Yeah, and also like anyone in the chat, make sure you go check out Buckeye channel. I think he's streaming on Twitch right now as well, right?
Live on
Or
YouTube. Live on YouTube. Yeah.
On
Yep.
YouTube.
YouTube at
Yes,
XDefiant Guides. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and then yeah, that's all I really have to say. Really, when it comes to like XDefiant stuff. If you want to hang out and chat, we still can. Or if you want to hop off and do your own thing, no problem.
I do got a jet. I'm in the process of a move. I cleaned up my office. So you guys can't tell, but I gotta pack up a whole room today. But no, I appreciate everything. I do got a jet though.
Okay, no problem, man. Thanks for taking the time out of the day, man. And it was a good chatting with you.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah. Well, see you soon.
Yes, sir. Catch you next one.
Peace out.
All right, chat. There it is. There it is. There we go. Perfect. All right, guys. There it is. That's what we were doing today. Yo, huge shout out to Kevin, by the way. Guys, do me a quick favor if you could. Do me a quick favor. I would really appreciate this. Go. I gotta find my.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new member.
Yo, Wally, coming in here. He already was a tier 1 member. Did he hit the remember? Do we have a tier 1 member? Wally coming in here says, love the content. Keep it up. Can't wait for full release. Have a good one, Buckeye. Yo, dude, Wally, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Guys, can we get some W's in the chat? Please and thank you for old Wally coming in here, becoming a tier 1 member yet again. 7 months. Oh, that's what it is. I was gonna say, I'm like 100% sure you already were one. 7 months of tier 1 membership. Yo, Wally, thank you so much, dude. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Guys, do me a quick favor, if you would, please and thank you. Go check out my dude, Kevin Cool X on YouTube. Make some dope content. He's mainly a Halo guy, but make some really good stuff. So go give him a sub. Go check him out. Go see what you guys think of his content. I appreciate it. All right. What was happening in chat, guys? You want me to address the chat? What was happening? Let's see. What was happening, guys? What was happening here? Something was happening? Was there some craziness happening in the chat? I completely missed it. I was focused on other things at the time. Yo, synchronicity. I 100% agree. 100% agree. Who we talking about, y'all? Who we talking about? Who needs to be banned? Let me take a look. Well, anyway, yo, I hope you guys enjoyed. For real. Special thanks to Kevin for putting that together. That was super fun. Super happy to be a part of that. Yeah. Stay tuned to me on Twitter, guys. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter if you don't already. It's at Buckeye Plays on Twitter. I am in the process of a move, like I mentioned. So I am going to be packing up my office here tomorrow. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do any more streams or like super detailed content for the next couple of weeks until I get to my new apartment. But I'm going to do my best to try and get some videos recorded, or at least like some preliminary stuff set up so I can just pull out a camera and do a little recording, kind of like on the fly. over the course of the next couple weeks. But so just, be aware of that. But yeah, that's the situation. Yo, John Anderson, I appreciate you, bro. Nice catching up with you too. Nice change of pace. Yo, John Anderson, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad. I think it went really well. I'm excited to take a look back and watch it on my own. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for today. We're not going to be jumping in any games or anything like that, but just wanted to have a little conversation with Kevin. Like I said, stay tuned to the Twitter. Stay tuned to the channel. I am going to have a couple videos coming out over the next couple weeks, but they might look a little different than usual, so just be aware of that. But hey, man, at the end of the day, I'm super excited for XDefiant. My experience was very positive with the playtest, and I'm just curious to see what Mark and the team says regarding the data and the feedback that they got from it. I'm hoping that it's good and it's not going to take too long. We'll find out. But yeah, that's it, guys.